Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Texas Family Fitness, Freeman Mazahade, and Work the Poor. I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! It is Feel Good Friday. We're going to take it easy today. Close your books.
3, 2.
Close your books, class. Put your pencils away. Put your pens down. Don't need to take no notes. I'm wheeling out the TV again. We're going to do a light day. We're going to have some fun. We're going to go around the web. We're going to look at an NFL Insider's mock draft. We're going to mock that mock draft. And since, Steven said the Cowboys are not done in free agency, we'll take a look at a Cowboys Insider's top list of free agents and see if any of those guys can fit. Some interesting names on there, some familiar names as well with the Cowboys. So appreciate you guys for being here. It's going to be a fun show. If you want to call in, you can. 351-999-3787. 351-999-3787. Apologies over on Facebook for whatever reason. It is not coming through over there. We'll try to figure that out. If it doesn't work, hey, come on over to the YouTube side of things. Speaking of which, shout out to my folk in the building over on YouTube. Got Gregory, QG, Toxic Time, Downey, burner account was good. October Sky. Interesting. That's a good one because when I was a kid, they definitely willed that TV in there and they throw on October Sky or something like that if that was what we were reading in English. So, and then you got the whole Sky. I like it. And by the way, my birthday is in October, so yeah. What's up, Davion R? S to B, Derek Smalls, John, Bones, Jones, Derek Fisher, Just Blaze, Chuck P in the building, Professor O. I did see your message. Maybe we'll do something like that next week. Interesting outlook on that. Big Sarge was good, Big Sarge. Iceberg Q, Matish was good. We got Joe the Gooner, Matt Goddix, what's up? Jonathan Scruggs, Big H, what's up, Big H? Captain America. Salute to you, sir. Alpha Mason was good. Carlton knows. Beyonce knows. Kelly knows. And that's it over on the YouTube side so far. So if you do know your Facebook compadres, friends, or whatever, tell them to come on over. I'm not sure why it's not working over there. That's a restream thing, so we'll figure that out. All right, man, we got a good, fun show, light show coming up. Like I said, you can call in 351-999-3787, and we'll get this thing going. Should I say it? I promise I won't keep y'all long. We do got somebody on the horn. I'll get to you in a second, whomever that is on hold. But we got to hit this roundup.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Yes, indeed. The morning roundup presented by Texas Family Fitness. Strive for progress, not perfection. Fitness goals are not accomplished with one workout. Progress towards your goals with Texas Family Fitness. They're more than just a fitness club. They provide the tools, support, and resources you need to achieve your goals. So check out any of the 13 different locations in the DFW area or visit TexasFamilyFitness.com. Short roundup today. Not much going on in the Cowboys world, but a Cowboys nemesis is mulling retirement. Deshaun Jackson spoke this week about possibly retiring, stating, "I'm not really sure if I'm going to play in 2022 or not." But he did list about 4 or so teams that he would come back and play for: the Chiefs, the Browns, the Broncos, the Packers, and go figure, Patrick Mahomes, an alien, Aaron Rodgers, one of the GOATs in regards to just talent, Russell Wilson wins a Super Bowl, he's Russ, and Deshaun Watson. It seems like a lot of people want to go play with Deshaun Watson since he's come back, so not a shocker there. But I say Cowboys nemesis because, dude, he's interesting because he went a long stretch of not really scoring touchdowns on Dallas. So I kind of looked at him and was like, yeah, he's a name, but he's not really killing Dallas. Then 5 of the last 7 games he scored a tutty, and they were big plays. And he was a big play guy against Dallas. In fact, his numbers against Dallas: 61 receptions, over 1,300 yards, 6 touchdowns in total, which, again, 6 touchdowns is not a lot when you look at it 18 games. But it's not really the touchdown. It's the yards per catch. He averaged a ridiculous 22 yards per catch against Dallas in his career because he had a ton of games where he just popped huge plays against Dallas throughout his career. In 8 of his 18 games he played against Dallas, he averaged over 20 yards per reception. It's ridiculous. I know a lot of people liken him to Santana Moss, and I mean, yeah, Santana Moss was kind of our nemesis at that time, and Deshaun Jackson pretty much followed his footsteps, so he could be hanging him up. I think in my time, one of the most dangerous deep threats that we had in the game, and I still think he was one of the best ball trackers for a smaller-ish receiver that I've ever seen over the last 25 years. And a lot of the times when I'm comparing guys of his stature and that has not necessarily his speed, but are speedy guys, I always say, hey, he reminds me of Deshaun Jackson and how he tracks the ball. So as much as I don't like him playing for the Washington football people and the Eagles and things like that, I respected his game when he was healthy. If D-Jack hangs him up, I think he would have had an amazing, successful career. 14 years in the league. But if he had his attitude right just a little bit, he would have had a ring. All he had to do was just chill with the Rams. Just chill. And he could have had himself a ring. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the Senior Bowl announced their Hall of Fame class for 2022, which included Von Miller, Phillip Rivers, Kevin Falk, Patrick Willis, and one Dak Prescott. Pretty cool honor, and congratulations to Dak Prescott and the others, Von Miller, Kevin Falk, Patrick Willis, and Phillip Rivers. I think that's an amazing honor, and I love the fact that social media has really propelled the Senior Bowl to the forefront more and more every year that goes by. Shout out to the director, Jim. I forget his last name, y'all. Y'all probably know what I'm talking about, but shout out to him. He's definitely taken this Senior Bowl and made it much bigger. And as you can see, you can get some really damn good football players and Hall of Famers from the Senior Bowl. Not to mention the Cowboys have their own list of Hall of Fame Senior Bowl members. Leroy Jordan, Tom Landry, Bob Hayes, Chuck Howley, Larry Allen, T.O., Dan Reeves, DeMarcus Ware, and Jay Novacek are all other members of the Senior Bowl Hall of Fame who have played either long careers in Dallas or a short stint with the Dallas Cowboys. So shout out to Dak. Congratulations to him. And congratulations to all these Senior Bowl members. That is that is today's Feel Good Friday. That is today's morning roundup presented by Texas Family Fitness. Where you at? Adrian said, interesting. How many receivers want to play with Dak, I wonder? Well, I do know that Randall Cobb specifically said that he wanted to, and I was like in 2019 that he wanted to play with him. Other than that, I don't think it's a Dak issue. I think it's do I want to go play with the Cowboys? Right? Knowing one, they're not going to give me a lot of money, and two, I'm probably not going to get a lot of opportunity. I know if I go play with Pat, if I go play with A-Rod, I don't know about Russ, we'll see in Denver, but we project. Deshaun Watson, and they only got one option or two options, or they're in a system that allows them to spread their wings. No offense to Dak or the Cowboys, but I'm not coming to play here. I'm a Cowboy fan, and I wouldn't want to come play here, to be honest with you, until y'all prove to me that y'all are a serious organization in regards to wanting to be at the top of the league. I don't view Dallas like that, so. And I'm a Cowboy fan, so they got to pull me in if I was one of these dudes. All right? Shout out to the Mavs. I see there's a lot of Mavs fans in the building. Shout out to them. They're 2-1 right now in the series. Both games without Luka. That is, hey, man, salute. My boy's sitting at home. All right, before we jump into mocking the mock, we do got a caller on the horn, 713. What it is, what it do.
Welcome still, man. I appreciate you taking my call. It's Zoe One out of Houston. First of all, congratulations to you and Vach, man. And I appreciate the way that y'all are handling that, man. Reaching back, grabbing your brother and pulling him up. That's beautiful. The rest of Cowboys Nation, be patient. This is how it begins, and then they won't be able to stop us after that. So salute to y'all. Well, so let me ask you a quick question first, and then I'll get to my point. Do you see, even if we had the number, even if we took Aiden Hutchinson, do you see any one player or even three combined rounds, this whole draft combined, do you see us being, even with a miracle draft, putting together a team that is statistically and skilled-wise better than what we had last year?
A quick answer without really thinking too long, no. Like, okay, you would have to have a Micah Parsons type of impact, right? And you're not getting that every draft, right? You said your name was Zoe?
Yeah.
Zoe. So you're not getting that type of impact every single draft. Last year's draft had those dudes, and again, I don't want to disrespect the players in this year's draft class, but I think it's a consensus that last year's top 15 players were looked at way differently than this year's top 15 players. And the Cowboys are sitting at 24. So it's not like you're even getting those type of dudes unless they fall. But you said a combine. I guess if you hit it perfectly, right, like you get the right linebacker or you get the right interior lineman and the right defensive lineman, and they all click perfectly, which is uncanny, I guess.
Right.
But I'm being real,
right.
like we do on this show. I don't see any combination of the three making this team better than last year's on paper.
And Scott, that's my point, man, and that's what takes me to my point. Is I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy, but I feel like, I don't know if you know that meme of that dog that's in the little cartoon dog that's in the burning house, and he's talking about this is fine. It's like no matter what we pick up in the draft, receiver, linebacker to let Marcus Parsons be more free. He was already free. He had Randy Gregory and Marcus Lawrence on each side. At the end of the day, it's about execution, and I'm certainly not getting on Dan Quinn. But I'm saying, like, the plays that we call, to have that receiving core and to make the questionable plays we call, you don't fix play calling in a draft. And for those that say, well, if you draft this player, you can do this. Well, again, if you do draft this player, how is that any different or more talented or give you more options than what you had last year? You had a Swiss Army knife. You had a whole Rolodex full of options, and you didn't execute it. So that's the thing that concerns me. It just, and I don't know. Again, I guess I'm speaking in theory. I don't know where we begin to fix it. It's not something that I'm telling Cowboys Nation something we didn't know, but that's where my mind can't even really get juiced up too much for this draft.
Well, so what it is we're living by the hope creed. I think as Cowboys fans, even if you're like not feeling positive about the season, it's still early, we got time, but if you're not feeling positive, the only thing that we have in agreement with people who are like, hey, we're going to win the Super Bowl, and people who are like, man, we're going to suck, is that at the end of the day, we're all in the hope creed right now. Like I don't think they've really given us a ton of confidence beyond hope, right? Like I don't think anybody is stamping, except for my man Ronnie. Shout out to Ronnie. He said we're winning the Super Bowl. But I don't think too many people are stamping their claim that the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl, and they'll put their money where their mouth is right now, right? So we're living by the hope creed. And the hope creed is that we hope that Kellen Moore progresses as a game planner, right? Play caller. We hope that Dak Prescott starts to finish more. We hope that the offensive line stays healthy. We hope that Zeke doesn't get hurt and this running game can get back to what it was. And we hope that the defense can get better, because what we don't want to see is the defense fall back, right? So depending where they fall back at, hopefully they can make up for it in other areas. So we're all living by the hope creed at this point in time in the season, in the off season.
Yeah. One thing I do know, though, man, as I'm signing off, one thing I do know, we winning the Super Bowl this year. Dallas Cowboys for life, man.
Hey, I love it. There we go. Let me give you a clue bomb. Appreciate you, Zoe. See, that's an interesting take right there, because he brought the realism of the concerns with the Cowboys, but then he also said, you know what, forget all that. We still going to win the bowl. Y'all know me. I don't ever mock anybody for that thought process, but I don't make those type of proclamations right now. I just can't do it. It's April. It's too early. I need to see more. Now, had we been the Rams, had we been the Bucks, the Chiefs, and things like that, you feel a little different. Boy, can we at least win a couple? Can we at least? I want to get back to being that type of fan, right? I just can't do what? I can't fake the funk, man. I can't do it. I can't do it. All right, let's take a look at this mock. But before we do that, I want to tell y'all about OSMI. OSMI is the the arthroscopic and robotic assisted orthopedic surgery, foot and ankle surgery, sports medicine, physical therapy, and a ton more they do. Their team of orthopedic specialists has offices in Fort Worth, Decatur, Mansfield to provide state-of-the-art orthopedic care to the North Texas area. When it comes to medical care, you and your loved ones deserve the best possible experience. So schedule your hassle-free appointment today at osmifw.com.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
I'm gonna do a poll on Twitter. I'm curious how many people do believe that, like legitimately believe that, and people that don't, and do they look at people a certain way like that, or the reverse? Do people who do believe that look at people who don't at this moment in a certain way? Interesting, man. Cowboys Nation's interesting. I think more interesting than any fan base in the NFL. Think about it. I understand the Browns haven't won in a long time. At one point, the Eagles didn't. Detroit and all that stuff. The reason why we're unique is because our history is prestigious, right? Our history states that our standard should be Super Bowls. But it is becoming ancient history, and that's the problem. We're approaching 30 years. So there are still people from that generation that expect that. And then there's the newer-ish generation who really don't expect that because they haven't felt that. And I could be a part of that a little bit. I was around for a couple, but I was a kid, so I didn't really feel it. So I think you got a little bit of the newer generation who was like, oh, it's okay. We've won the division every 2 or 3 years. We got 3 playoff victories in 26 years. To them, that feels normal, right? So it's a very interesting time period in Cowboys Nation. Here's what I'm gonna do, because I do want to get into this mocking the mock and then taking a look at John Machoda's list. But we got a couple more callers, so I'm gonna take these 2 and then we'll get to it. I got my guy James Reynolds, and then I think I got Portugal on the horn. I hope I got that right. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Scott? We up early, and it's Friday.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I feel so good for these boys right now.
What's up? What you got for us?
The best produced show in all of YouTube-led commentary. Y'all get some flames in the chat for Sky right now because he giving y'all pure gold. Oh, my goodness. And we get this for free? Man, y'all better tune in because I'm telling you right now, the way things going, the price is going up.
Hey.
Yesterday's price ain't today's price.
Somebody better tell A to Z. Yesterday's price ain't today's price, brother.
Woo! You know what I'm saying? Hey, Scott, you know what? The last caller, you know what I'm saying? I think, you know, when we talking about that Super Bowl and that expectation, you know, when we look at what the Cowboys have been doing, you know, I think as a fan, man, that's the pride of being a Cowboys fan. Because, you know, we get mocked for that every year. Oh, y'all going to the bowl this year? Y'all going to the bowl this year? Man, all I got to say is that that's what makes watching the Cowboys so interesting and so popular, because every game we're expecting Super Bowl caliber, and we're coming in and we're hyping the boys up, and yeah, we might not get it this game or this year or that year, but that expectation, I think we're starting to become like a cult where we just take pride in standing by the boys in and out, thinking through, you know what I'm saying, Jerry Jones, Steve Cowboy Jones, you know what I'm talking about? You know, I think that's where we're becoming. And I don't see a problem with that. I don't see a problem with that because in today's age of Al Gore's internet and Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse, loyalty is sparse in where we are today. And to be able to say I'm a part of a group, a community, a family that's loyal to the star, I don't have no problem with that. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I mean, I'm with you, man. I think you should. The only thing that I think is interesting is I do believe that it's becoming hard to be a prideful Cowboy fan. You know, the further and further away we get to. At the end of the day, we all going to remain fans. We all going to root hard for them, at least most of us. There's some people who legitimately root against certain players just to be right. We're all going to be screaming and yelling at the TV and hoping for the damn best. But after things like what happened in the postseason, after the way things have been going this offseason, specifically with some of the ridiculous drama, it is. I think it's normal to become your pride of a fan to take a hit and you just hope that something happens to make you feel a little bit better about it. I think that's normal. I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary. So, I respect both aspects of fandom. That's why I have this show. That's why I have this platform, so y'all can call in. We can discuss it. We can hear it. And, I'm always respected.
And you know what, Scott? And that's why we love you, man, because you give us a voice and you give us the full spectrum, And the only thing I can think of is right now we down. But, if the chance happens where it all comes together, the stars align, we take it all the way. Like, everybody, the Stephen A's of the world, the Shannon Sharps of the world. Oh,
bro, you talking about public figures. For me, get them. If the boys get this dub and they get this 6th ring, it's going to be the people I actually know. It's going to be people on these Twitter spheres it's going to be my friends and family that are going to hate me. That's why I want them to win this damn thing, because so I can be that arrogant, prideful Cowboy fan again. Right now, I'm going to be honest with you. I can't fake the funk. They definitely took a hit, right? And I'm just waiting for these things to kind of come on back so that we can feel good about this team and its future.
Oh yeah, and I already came up with my slogan. This is my slogan until we get there. One and done, that's old Cowboys Super Bowl.
Hey.
I'm gonna be singing that.
Let me tell you something.
That's all I got. I appreciate you, bro. Hey, y'all make sure y'all hit that like, share, subscribe, because y'all getting the best content on a Friday morning. It's Cowboys with Sky A to Z, the place to be.
Appreciate it, Jay. I tell my friends all the time, y'all gonna hate me. Yeah, we down right now. We hurt. But we can fuss and argue amongst each other because we Cowboy family, we Cowboy nation. But just like with your siblings, and I've done this with my brother plenty of times as we got older, we definitely got into it a lot. But we also got into it with others, even when we weren't seeing eye to eye at that time. Because, hey, dog, you're not going to mess with our family, right? So that's how I feel. We can fuss and argue amongst each other about what this is, what that is. But when other outsiders, especially teams that ain't got no room to talk, tries to come at Cowboys Nation or the Cowboys in general, you better come correct. That's all I'm going to say. Better come correct. Turn your house down, Urban said. Ooh, toxic down, man. Sky, we've been down since Clinton was in office. Oh, come on. Don't do that to me. All right, did I get this right? Is it Portugal on the horn?
I am actually back in the United States. I'm calling on the Portugal phone. I'm in Arizona, shockingly, for the first time in 3.5 years. Anyway, so
wait a minute. So I got the area right. So I gotta give myself a round of applause for that. But I forget your name. What's your name, good brother?
Oh, I'm John. Hello, hey Scott. How's it going?
John. All right, I'm gonna put you in here, John.
All right. So for me, this is all interesting because this offseason is like, if you keep doing the same thing and it's not working, that's the definition of insanity.
Sure.
Right? And so this year, instead of like buying a bunch of like dollar discount free agents and plugging all the holes before the draft and basically wasting like $4 or $5 million, which isn't very much, but it's $4 or $5 million. They're going to draft first and then plug the holes.
It's what it looks like, right?
To me, yeah, but that to me seems like, they're just trying to change it up to see if they were doing it wrong. And they kind of were doing it wrong because the results were no results. Right? So if we look at it like, well, it's a disaster, it's an embarrassment, we haven't bothered to sign anybody. It's like, what if in the draft you get Green, Pickens, and Woods, and you don't need to sign a tight end. You don't need to sign an offensive lineman. You don't need to sign a wide receiver, but you can sign a linebacker and a defensive end. Now instead of like now you can actually spend your money and actually spend a little bit more money on just two positions instead of spending like middling money on a bunch of positions. So for me, I think they got a better chance of filling the holes with better talent if they wait till after the draft, knowing that they're going to be a little cheap, but not that cheap.
You're all over the place with this one, John. I'm trying to follow you here.
I mean, seriously.
So you're saying the talent, the best talent, which is usually dried up by after the draft,
yeah, but
going to be available after the draft?
Well, no, listen. You know that they were going to, if they'd gone their usual way, bargain basement shopping before the draft, they were still going to draft. They were still going to basically fill their roster with kind of lowercase free agents, right? Not great.
But John, they're going to do that. They're going to do that regardless. Before or after, it doesn't matter. Like, what evidence do you have that they're going to sign high-end free agents after the draft? Like, I haven't seen it.
Well, I don't actually. This is the thing. We don't know.
Right.
Because we can't know. It has not happened yet.
And
the thing is, if
vice president came out and said we're not spending money in free agency.
Well, the whole point is, though, if you're going to spend $10 million in free agency, which is very little in free agency, instead of spending it on 6 players before the draft, if you spend it on 2 players after the draft, there are still some pretty good guys out there, better than the usual quality that they bring in. Right? I mean, there's still some guys out there that are better than the usual Cowboys free agents.
Sure, but why not get
and if
them
you're just gonna
before the draft? Because that's their philosophy. So what you're saying is literally contradicting and I'm going to play something here in a second. It's not in a second, but later in the show. It's contradicting what they actually do and what they say they do, which is we're plugging holes in free agency.
My point.
And then
this is exactly my point. That they're doing it different this year because they never get results.
What are they doing differently?
If you spend,
what exactly are they doing differently?
Well, they instead of signing 6 or 7 guys before 6 or 7 outsiders for $1 million each, for league minimum each, they basically they decided not to do that. They just did Washington and Fowler.
Okay. And signed 13 of their own. And signed 13 of their own guys. You can't forget about that.
But they always sign. They
don't always sign 13 of their own. They don't always sign 13 of their own guys. That is different. They could have elected not to sign 13 guys. Took that money and put it into better free agents. They could have did that.
But do you think other than Dalton Schultz that they overpaid any of their own guys?
That's not the point you're making here.
I don't think they did. I think the curse.
But if you take the money if you take the money from say 4 of the guys that they signed, I'm not going to name players, and it adds up to say $7 million. Couldn't you have taken that $7 million and went and got a Bobby Wagner? That's only going to cost you $6 million this year. Follow me?
Well, I would have preferred that myself.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I'm spitballing because I'm basically saying that they're waiting to sign any free agents until after the draft because then they'll know what their holes are for reals, as opposed to trying to plug all the holes in advance so they don't have to draft anybody in particular. This year they're saying if we draft BPA in this draft, we don't know where the holes will be. We know we'll be a better team, but we won't know where the holes are. So why are we trying to plug holes in advance when we can go, oh, shoot, we got a better O-line because we got Kenyon Green. We got a very good receiver in Pickens, and we got a very good tight end, too, in Jelani Woods. Now what we need is a really good linebacker. There's still 3 or 4 really good linebackers out there.
So why
that you can get for $4 or $5 million.
Why?
But if they spent $1 million on a linebacker in advance, they might not do that. Right? Like, in other words, I'm saying that they're just trying something a little different than last year.
They're definitely
doing better results.
What they have done differently is not the people that they've brought in. It's actually with their own guys. They've come out and, well, at least Bobby Belt came out and said, hey, they've let us know, or insiders let them know, that they're going to allow their guys to go test the market and then come back with their numbers. That's the only thing I know that they're doing differently this year with their own guys. When it comes to actual free agents, they're following the same MO. Bargain bin guys, bring them in. It's only been 3 dudes to date. I think it says more about how they feel about the current roster than it does about, hey, we're going to go sign 5-6 more guys after free agency.
I don't think they're going to sign 5 or 6 more guys after free agency. I think they're only going to sign 2 guys after free agency. Like I think after the draft. I think they're being I'd say they're being a little smarter by letting the draft come to them and then saying, oh, well, shoot, all we need is Anthony Hitchens and Jarvis Landry. Like we can get both those guys for $10 million, and there'll be upgrades over what you got and like whatever.
Here, bro? You're not getting those 2 guys for $10 million
after the draft.
Yeah.
You might.
Jarvis Landry ain't coming to play in Dallas for $5 million, brother, man.
People always say that every year, and then there's like people like they got that guy for 3.
Who?
Like I mean, seriously, like
did Dallas? I'm asking you about the Cowboys.
I'm not saying when Dallas did it. They never did it.
Well,
That's
we're
why
not
this is
talking
different.
about Arizona. We're not talking about whomever. Who has Dallas brought in on a Jarvis Landry type of guy for super cheap after the draft?
Never. That's the whole point. Like they're doing it different. That's the point. Like the doing the same thing over and over again and getting no results is insane.
Doing it different is not what you're saying. That is literally them doing the same.
I am saying it different.
It's not.
I'm saying it's totally different.
John, they've done that in the past, brother. Have you forgotten that they brought in Malik Hooker last year in July for cheap?
He was but he was injured. He was coming off an injury, and by the way, they needed him.
Bro,
he filled a hole.
That is nothing different. All you're saying is they're just waiting to go bargain bin shopping after the draft. What's different?
I am saying that.
What would be different is them grabbing. That's not different. It's the same thing. It's just stretching it out. Technically, free agency is not over after the draft. But anyway, what would be different is them saying, hey, we feel like we're close, so we're going to go try to get us 1 or 2 hump players in this free agency prior to the draft. That would be different.
Well, that would also be different. That is true. That would be. Yeah. I think we're saying basically that there's 3 kinds of different. I mean, there's 2 kinds of different and one that's the same.
Yeah, you're right. There's multiple ways. Yes.
Yeah, they haven't done the same, which is like 6 or 7 guys from off campus who are, God bless them. Maybe they'll work out. Maybe they won't. Last year they got pretty lucky and they did okay. A couple of years ago they got Nolan Carroll and Daryl Worley. I mean, oh my God. So so I think they're basically learning from the Nolan Carroll, Daryl Worley era and saying we don't want that, right? Like that's the one where they're not doing that, and they're also saying maybe this draft just kind of lines up for our needs, but maybe it doesn't. Draft is a fickle mistress, right? You never know if you're going to get wiped out. You never know if
they're going to get guys in their needs in the draft. I don't think most people disagree with that. They're going to get guys with their needs. Yeah. I think the thing is now, let me ask you, like the caller asked me, do you think whether they plug those needs or not, that makes them a better team than they were last year?
Well, I'll tell you what. If they get Kenyon Green, their offensive line,
whoever
is better
you
than
give them, whoever
year.
the hell you want to give them. Is
if
what I'm getting at.
If you get Pickens,
listen.
Your
we don't got to do names. My question is, if they get
I get it. But if you get the right combo, if you get the right combination in the draft, yes.
So they got to be
better than last year.
So they got, like I said to the caller, they got
there's probably 4 or 5 different ways they could go that would make them better than last year. But you have to say after the draft, you're going to go. They have like 6 needs, right? They're only going to get like 3 players that really actually crush their needs. Maybe they get a kicker, that could be 4, right? That means they're going to have 2 glaring needs and some guys to fill the holes in the draft. The 2 glaring needs, they're going to have $15 million now and then another 10 to sign their drafts when their Leo Collins money comes in on June 2nd. They can do it.
They can do what?
The thing. Like
what can they?
They can
do
fill
what?
The 2 glaring holes. If after the draft they're going to have 2 glaring holes left on there, whatever it is. Could be at linebacker, could be at defensive tackle, could be at cornerback, could be at who God knows. I mean, it could be any number of positions where they will have 2 glaring needs left over after day 1 and day 2 of the draft. We don't know what the 2 glaring needs will be because the draft hasn't happened, right? They don't know what the 2 glaring needs are going to be because the draft hasn't happened. But they got the money, and there is an available talent group out there.
Yeah, I'm about to get to the list if you let me get to it. I'm going to get to the list of the 15. Oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say it on the phone with you, but I have the rest of the show to do here, so we can't be on the phone for 25 minutes. Cool. But I'm gonna
of course.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that list of the other. It's a 15-man list that John Machota made that the Cowboys can either elect to sign now or after the draft. So yeah, there are guys out there. I'm not disagreeing that there's guys out there. I disagree that you said they're doing something different. The only thing they've done different is allow their guys to test free agency.
That's different. Like, I mean, there's a few. They might have paid Jaron Kearse. I mean, I like Jaron Kearse a lot, so I don't want to make it seem like, great, they got him cheap, but they actually got him at a proper market rate, which is different from before. If they loved Jaron Kearse before, they give him $10 million, and just like go, okay, we gave him a bad contract to keep him. That's legit. That's a change. We can debate whether it's a good change or not. That's totally true. But
what's a change?
Yeah.
No, I'm asking you, what is a change? What are you saying here?
Well, I'm saying actually allowing the guys to test the market and get their value.
Oh, yeah.
Was a good change. They should have done that with Dalton Schultz too, frankly. But, that's just me. But because I think they may still get him for, a decently low cap hit if they can sign him properly. But they've really allowing their guys to test the market. I mean, they allowed Amari Cooper to test the market a few years ago, right? With Washington. I just think that is a small but very significant change. Like it's one of those. It's a game of inches, right?
We need a win, boy. We is reaching here. I'm sorry, brother. I can't sit here and fake the fun.
I think it is a win. I think it is a win.
No, we need a real win. You're reaching for wins here because we're desperate. How the hell is that?
I'm not desperate. I love the Cowboys, but I also know that it's a game of inches. You
and
make
how is
the smallest change.
What this is wild to me. What is such a massive win about this, about them allowing guys to test the market? Who in their free agents, the guys that were free agents, besides Randy Gregory, by the way, were worth all this money anyway? Nobody.
I love Randy Gregory, but he was a 6.5 sack guy.
Okay.
If you paid him $14 million, that was
they actually signed him back, and that whole debacle happened. But when we went and looked at the free agent list, we all, for the most part, agreed. And this is when I thought that Cooper was going to be here. You really didn't have to sweat the guys that were leaving. You could have filled those guys fairly easily in the free agency market, but instead they elected to bring the same exact guys back for the most part, and then detract the Coopers, the Randys, the Lyells, etc.
They didn't know what this. I mean, they've let a lot of guys go. If you think about it, I mean, Lyell,
bro, they signed
and Coop and
right. They signed 13 guys back. Yeah, that's signing.
But you let probably what was it, $30 million worth of talent leave, and they let them go. They never do that. They never just go. Let's say, okay, $20 million. You're reducing like 15. Goodbye. We love you, Lale, but you're never here.
The fact
Goodbye.
that they allow people to go to man, that's a stretch, man. We gotta find. Hey, listen, brother.
You know something?
We gotta find something to we could be happy about, and if that's it for you, man, more power to you. But I don't give a damn about them letting their mediocre players test the market to get a number.
Well,
go.
Man. Well, no, wait. You saying Jaron Kearse is a mediocre player?
No, Jaron Kearse is a different story. Jaron to me was priority one. I mean, that's priority one. I don't know if you were around during the show, but they have 21 free agents. Probably 20 of them were mediocre players that I didn't care about. The other three, you're talking about, said Wilson, you can argue he's mediocre. Jaron Kearse, Randy Gregory, Randy and Jaron, I wanted to bring back. That's cool. But the other 13, you really didn't have to bring those guys back.
No, that's true. But you know who you got, and you got chemistry in the locker room, and they signed him for nothing, and it's all good, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like they let guys that just weren't. I mean, I was sad that Amari left. I was like, damn.
All right, mate, you got to wrap it up here, brother.
Anyway, okay. Anyways, I think that people don't look at it as a change, but I think it is a change. And I think that we'll see whether I'm right or wrong. I have no freaking idea, but I think that we'll see two big moves in free agency after the draft.
What's considered a big move?
We'll all be like,
what's considered a big move?
A big move would be like if they don't get like Pickens or Sky Moore in the second round, that they say, okay, we're going to give Jarvis Landry a 3-year deal, and he's going to cost us $7 million against the cap. You know, he'll get a bigger deal, but it won't cost that much against the cap. If they don't get a good defensive end in the draft, like in the first 3 rounds,
Dude,
they'll call Clowney and give him a $10 million deal. They've got the money
strategy.
for it.
It's a terrible strategy, John. Why would you make yourself so needy in the draft if you can fill that before the draft? We're going to talk in circles. I'll talk about this off the air, bro.
But that logic is what they've been using forever. That's the logic that they've been using forever.
No, the logic they've been using forever. No. The logic they've been using forever is we are not going to pay in free agency. We're going to continue to draft. We're not going to make trades. We're not going to pay big money for agency or get top-end players. Exactly. We're going to draft. That's their strategy, and it continues to be their strategy.
But this time they actually exit the draft with $15 million and another 10 coming in June. They've never had that.
I gotta let you go, man, so that I can talk about this more with the chat here because I totally disagree with this. Appreciate you. This makes absolutely no sense, like none. What team? Who?
I want me some glory hole.
What team says we are going to deliberately go into the draft forcing needs because we want to wait after the draft to address said needs? It is the most ass backwards thing I think I've ever heard, and I'm sorry if that sounds disrespectful, John, but it just makes no sense. You fill the needs, and forget needs, man. Just get some ballers. You get ballers or fill needs, whatever the hell you want to call it, before the draft, so that when you get to the draft, you can do what, class? You can do what? You get you some ballers. You get you, you fill your needs in pre-draft, so you can do what, class? BPA. Thank you. Why on God's green earth would you deliberately ignore the leads? Like deliberately, not like he's saying we're going to deliberately ignore these things so we can get to the draft and have to force our hands to take so-and-so. That's how you take a Taco Charlton. That's how you get a Tristan Hill. That's how you know what I'm saying? That's how those things happen. That was very interesting. I'm sorry. I just don't agree, you know. And if we're calling them allowing their guys to go out and test the market a win, I'm gonna continue to say it until it actually happens. We need a win. We need a win. We need a win, man. Like, this is crazy. That would be on if you had a totem pole of things, that would be at the bottom, which I think technically the bottom is good, but that will be at the very bottom. Like, what are the good things the Cowboys did this offseason? Well, let me tell you about this one. They allowed their free agents to test the free agent market before they gave him money. All those mediocre players. Huh? All right. If that's the win, man. More power to you. More power to you. Let me let's talk about Worth the Poor real quick, because I might need to go get me a pour when we're done here. One thing we all agree on is watching and discussing the Cowboys can be stressful. To take the edge off of game days, stop by Worth the Poor Spirits and Wine in the colony of Texas. Worth the Poor is a family-owned and operated luxury liquor store with affordable prices with a wide variety of spirit, wine, and beer samples available, making your drink choice decision easier than ever. And for the game day party that won't end, they even offer liquor deliveries to all of North Texas. To make Worth the Poor a part of your game day routine, download the Worth the Poor app, which allows you to schedule orders or deliveries for pickup and gives customers access to discount codes for extra savings like A to Z Sports. So this weekend, if you're out having a good time, make sure y'all use the discount code and hit up Worth the Pour. Download the app or hit up worththepour.com. Hey, man. Hey, that's one thing, though. I'll allow y'all to get it out. But if I disagree, I got to tell you why I disagree. And, hey, if I don't even know how – I was going to say if he's right, we can come back and whatever, but – what is right and what is wrong here? He's basically saying all they're doing is just stretching out their Family Dollar shopping to after the draft. They've done that. That's nothing new. They've done that in years past. Now, if after the draft, they go out and make a trade, right? After the draft, they go out and sign Honey Badger to $12 million a year. That would be something completely different. But if you're talking about paying 2 to 3 players a total of $10 million, that's not different. It's the same thing. But I think we're missing the point here anyway. All right, let's get into this mock. Let's mock the mock real quick, and then we'll get to that list. In fact, I might just jump straight to the list because, honestly, the list actually is a great segue. Thank you, John. So here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to hit this list up since we're talking about free agents. Let me get rid of this. This ain't the mock draft, but there we go. So, John Machota put together a list of 15 different players of free agents that are still remaining that the Cowboys can sign. And the reason why I did so was because Stephen Jones came out and he talked about being pure in the draft, the exact opposite of what my man John was talking about. Being pure in the draft. They believe they're pure right now. John and most of us, just off what you're saying, believe they're not pure. I would agree. I don't think they're pure at this moment, but you're saying they're doing it on purpose. This is what Stephen had to say.
That was our challenge out there. We feel like we did do a good job with it in terms of re-signing, for the most part, the players that we wanted and felt like we could keep under the current salary cap environment. And I do think that we were able to fill, for the most part, we're not done yet in free agency. We'll see what opportunities come up out there, but we feel like we can go into the draft pure again and pick the best players on our board.
Perfect, nice little segue, because he said we're not done in free agency. So let's take a look at this top 15 list. And then he said we feel like we can be pure in the draft regardless of what we do in free agency. And so we'll do a little quick one-round mock draft, mocking the mock draft. So let's take a look at this list. We'll go down it as briefly as possible as we can. Davion Clowney is the first player on this list. We talked about him earlier in free agency. It said that he's looking to get a decent payday, and as they say here, last year he played for $8 million. $8 million would be about $2 million higher than a contract that Dallas would be comfortable giving out. They'll probably try to come in lower on Davion Clowney, but I don't think Davion Clowney will be the guy because they went out and signed Fowler. So I think they're comfortable with Fowler and comfortable with Dorrance Armstrong opposite of DeMarcus Lawrence. So I don't really see it being Davion Clowney. Will Fuller. Now on Madden, Will Fuller's a beast. You can turn off injuries. You can do all that good stuff. In real life, Will Fuller just is somebody you can't really count on. I'd rather go get it in the Laviska Shenault we talked about before. That's a trade. I think you could trade a 5th round pick for him or whatever. He's more dependable, healthier, younger guy. Is he more talented than Will? Probably. If Will is healthy, probably not. Will Fuller's damn good when he's healthy. It's just that he's literally never healthy. Just never, ever healthy. So actually that fits the Cowboys' criteria, right? Talent guy, deals with injury and concerns. I can't see him being a lot. Now, he cost $10 million last year, but he'll probably come in under that. Will he move the needle? No, he won't move the needle, but he'll be another body that you got at wide receiver in a looks like a year where you're going to be relying on CeeDee Lamb and bodies for the first 5 weeks of the season. That's no offense to James Washington, but he's got to prove to me he's a wide receiver too. Kyle Fuller, I'm going to pass on. I'm not really going to go high on that. Trey Turner is interesting because guard, we all believe, is an actual need, right? And there aren't too many. In fact, I think there's another guy on this list we talked about before. Trey Turner, I'm shocked he's actually still available. I figured somebody else would pick him up at this point. Pro Bowler a while ago, a few years ago, I should say. Good player. Played last year on a cheap deal with the Steelers, but he wasn't that good in Pittsburgh. I think I'd be okay with passing on him. Like, we talked about this before. I feel like Dallas feels like they have their veteran backup guard in McGovern. And honestly, I believe that to be true. Like McGovern's a backup guard, right? So I think you can easily get your day one starter at guard in the draft. I don't really see a need to get a backup type of guy at the guard position. If I'm going to get a guard in free agency, I'm going to get me a goddamn guard that's going to start day one and be better. That's what I'm going to do. Same thing here. Xavier Rhodes, Kevin King. I'm just not really looking at the cornerback position, especially with Xavier Rhodes, who I think did end up having a comeback year in Indianapolis 2 seasons ago. Not sure how he played last year. But it looks like he got 3 interceptions in 29 games with them. Kevin King, I think he kind of came back as well. He was kind of down on things. Now he was injured a little bit, but played pretty good last year. So Kevin King could be a guy. He's got the length and things like that. And mind you, this is all contingent on if Kelvin Joseph does not play. If Kelvin Joseph does not play, you're probably looking at a corner in the draft and grabbing one of these okay corners in free agency. Again, nothing that's going to move the needle there. This one is interesting. This is without a doubt the biggest name, Julio Jones, on the list. Julio's 33? Super injury prone guy over the last couple years. I think 2 or 3 seasons. Would move the needle in regards to a name. But the odds of Julio Jones actually playing is right up there with Will Fuller. I mean, he is super injury prone guy. He's getting older. He's not going to get healthier, right? But let me just play devil's advocate to myself and ask you guys. If you can say, because I don't think Julio is going to cost you a lot if he decides to play this year. I mean, I don't know what's happening with him. But if you decide, if you can say, hey, Julio can give you 7 to 9 games healthy, right? And 4 or 5 of those games are coming during the time where Michael Gallup is out. Do you talk yourself into signing Julio Jones to, let's call it the John from Portugal contract, the 1-year, $5 million deal? I don't think he's going to move the needle long term in regards to the season, but is it worth it to say if Julio can give me 4 to 5 healthy games at the beginning of the year and then, 4 to 5 healthy games at the end of the year? Is that something that would intrigue you, Cowboys Nation? He's interesting. Jaw says might as well bring Dez back. Another hurt guy. Well, send him to the playoffs. That's why I'm playing devil's advocate to myself. Would I sign Julio Jones? Nah. I'll just give me a young buck in the draft. Michael Gallup come back. Let's rock. But I'm just playing devil's advocate to myself. I'm really putting y'all in a bind here because it's probably an unfair situation I'm asking you, right? 5 games to start the year, 5 games to end the year, whatever. It's Feel Good Friday. We pulled the TV out. John, would you do that? You said you would do it for Landry. I don't think Landry's the answer either. I don't think Julio's the answer. But Landry's a slot guy. Could play outside, but I'd rather him stay in the slot. Guess that could be okay for you. But would you do that? No, says Swain. Yes, says Samuel. Nah, Roberto. No, Cowboy P. No, Boo Poo. A lot of ways to go. Yeah, there is, John. No way. King Dallas too old. Julio might not make it out of training camp. I mean, that's not even funny. That's real. Should have kept Coop? Absolutely. T-Mac, Sky, are we overlooking the fact that they are willing to roll with McGovern at guard for one more year? I don't think we're overlooking it. I think that's possible. You draft a guard later, and that doesn't guarantee he beats Connor. Yeah, if you draft him later, I don't think so. But I think there's some talented guys the first day or two, at least first 3 rounds, that I think could come in here and beat out Connor. But I don't think we are, because we talked about this months ago, T-Mac, when we were discussing potential free agents and the moves that they were making or not making. I think they truly look at McGovern as their veteran backup. So, therefore, they don't need to go spend money on a veteran backup. And I don't blame them. If you're not going to go get me a starter at guard, you got your veteran backup in Connor McGovern. The issue now becomes, do they believe that he's their guy to start? That's where I would pause. I would hope that they do put a high-end value on guard in the draft. No thanks. Yes, Tannehill's trash, so Julio would be worth a chance. It's not necessarily about his production, Queso 52. It's about his health. Landry compliments Gallup and 88 in the slot. Yeah, sure. Still got some juice. Okay, he's still talking about 10 ways to fix it. All right, Mr. Radborn said, let TJ Vasher ball out this year. He's got a long way to climb up. Let's get back to the list. Eric Flowers is the other guard. We actually featured him weeks ago as a guy. Now, Eric Flowers would be the interesting choice that possibly could make you say, all right, I could pass on guard early. And I only say, I'm not a big fan, but I only say this because, to be honest, he is better at guard than he was at tackle. He was a failed experiment at tackle, saved his career at guard, played okay with Washington, but when I went and watched him to talk about him on the show, I was like, I'm not really all that impressed. J.C. Tretter, we talked about J.C. Tretter. I think he'd be a fantastic get. Absolutely fantastic get. He'd put some stability at that center position. He'd help whatever guard you decide to draft to the left of him, and you get a veteran guy like him working in tandem with Zach Martin to the right of him. I'd love that one. Jared Cook. There were other tight ends I would have loved to get on a short-term deal to play opposite of Dalton Schultz. I guess, it wasn't bad. He still got some juice to him. He old, but sure. I actually prefer Jared Cook over Kyle Rudolph. Let's just say that there. So, Eric Ebron's another one. Another guy who had a Pro Bowl season, had his time, younger than both Kyle and Jared Cook. A guy that we featured as tight ends to potentially come in and be a tight end too. And then the last few, aside from Nick Martin, are guys that were with Dallas last year. Maurice Kennedy probably would be a camp body, or we'll see what happens with Kelvin Joseph. He's been with Dallas the last 2 years. 2020, he sat out because of COVID. In 2021, he didn't make it high on the depth chart and then got hurt, and they put him on IR. I think they put him on IR because they were like, dude, you're not going to play, but here, you can stay on the team, you collect your checks, you got access to the facility, et cetera, et cetera. Then Brent Urban, the fan favorite Brent Urban, which honestly, the more and more the Cowboys go by without bringing in a one tech, the more and more I feel like they're going to bring back Brent Urban. You want to talk about John signing guys afterwards? That's a guy I feel like they'll bring in. That's a guy I feel like they'll bring in, which again it's not moving the needle there. Then number 15 was Nick Martin, Zach Martin's brother, pretty much a backup center. He was drafted high with the Houston Texans and played with the Raiders yesterday. So that is the list that John Machota put together. Again, just like we've been saying for a while, there's still opportunity. He didn't even put Akeem Hicks up there, which is surprising to me, but unless he got signed, I don't know. But there are obviously names out there, and trying to be as positive as possible, there's opportunity to do that. And I'm hoping like hell they actually bring in guys that I think can move the needle a little bit. At one point, I thought Clowney could have moved the needle, but they went with Fowler. Cool, whatever. Campbell guys, Hicks, guys like that. At one point when we weren't sure about J-Ron, I would have loved to bring in Tyrann Mathieu. I think he'd have been fantastic back there with J-Ron, but they brought back Hooker, so that's not really going to happen. Bobby Wagner, right? The other guys that have already been signed that I think would have been legitimate needle movers. If they just sign guys to fill needs as opposed to good-ass players or players that are going to put you over the hump, what makes this a better process? That's my question. Yeah, we missed out on Campbell, T-Mac. We got Los, and then we'll get to the mock to mock. What's up, Los?
Good morning.
Urban is Chief John. What's up, brother?
Hey, let me tell you something. Hey, Super Bowls are not won in the offseason, man. What are you talking about?
That's Steven. It's an interesting thing to say there when, most teams actually try to build their teams to win the Super Bowl in the offseason. But, okay. I guess literally you don't win a Super Bowl in the offseason, but damn it, that's where you build one.
That, and you sure can lose it drastically, And, I got nothing much to say about the offseason. I'll just say, whatever free agent we do bring in, it's basically going to be off of a need or, a very Stephen Jones cap-like type of signing. So if there's a player that's asking for a little bit too much, don't even think about it because, old Cap Boy is going to have something to say about that.
Yeah, the highest amount of money they spent so far on outside free agents is about $2 million, $3 million with incentives. So, they're super bargain bin shopping this year because they've only brought in 3 guys.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Sky. If we're ever going to do something, I think it might just be during the end season. Look for maybe an inside trade. Depends where the needle is going. If we're winning some games and we're going all in, I think that's when Stephen Jones is going to be like, all right,
but bro,
they
had that opportunity last year.
But hey, sometimes they'll do something way too late when it should have been done something way too sooner. That's how Cowboys operate, Sky. But hey, I got one thing to say though.
What's up?
How about the Mavericks though? Sheesh, let me tell you. Something.
I told myself when I first moved down here, Los, if you remember the show, I said I gotta adopt the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not one of those guys. Oh, you got 2 teams. Never been that type of dude. Basketball though, I like players too. But I'm not a Mavericks fan. But I'm living in Dallas. I want to go to the AAC. I want to be in that atmosphere. So I hope they do well. Shoot, I would love to see a parade in Dallas just so I can be a part of something like that. Sheesh.
Yeah. Hey. And honestly, Scott, I wouldn't even be surprised if Mavericks win the championship before Cowboys do ever again. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. And if you do ever go to a game, man, go to Game 5, man. I think that's gonna be the game.
I want to go when Luke is playing. Be honest with you.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be back by Game 5 for sure.
Okay. I hope they win this series because the next series will be even more high impact, right? So I would love to go.
All right, man. You have a good morning. I know you got the rest of the calls. And like always, Guy, you're the legend himself, the young film Jedi. Peace.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Good stuff, Los. Enjoy your weekend, man. Queso 52. Could they be clearing cap for Sean Payton because he would have to trade draft capital for him? It's a lot of tinfoil there. I'm not really sure. I'm all about tinfoil. Trust and believe me at times. But it's got to be, as my guy boss would say, measured tinfoil. Could they be clearing cap space for Sean Payton? Part of me says that'd be silly. The other part would be like, well, Steven constantly talks about next year's cap and the following year's cap, so I guess anything is possible with this team. Do I think they look to sign players who get cut during camp? That is a case for every team, right, Jaws? Every team looks at I don't want to call them cap casualties at camp. Cap casualties are usually before free agency. But you got to cut your roster down from 90 to all the way to 56. I think it is now 53-man roster, but maybe it is 53 still. Nonetheless, you got to cut your roster down to 53. And so players are going to be available, whether they're in the waiver wire or not. You could look to sign them, but again, it's not about putting warm bodies on the roster to me. Because in that aspect, John, you're right. Sure, they can sign warm bodies after the draft, which they've done, and whatever, right? To me, it's about moving the needle. It's about getting guys that can help put you over the hump. And if you're not going to do that, here's one thing I didn't say to you. If you're not going to do that, then do what you did last year. See, people got this thing twisted. Last year, their approach wasn't horrible. Would you have liked to see them grab a hump player within that mesh of guys? Sure. But again, what we got to do here, I do a show 5 days a week. I say this all the time. The main focus is that I know that the Cowboys are not going to go out and sign these top-end players, these Tier 1 players. Hell, not even really Tier 2 players. I do know that. Do I agree with it? I do not. But if they're going to go the conservative route, go about it the way you did it last year. Last year, and I'm going to got to you in a second, Jacob. Last year, they went out and got the Curses, the Hookers, the KZs. I'll even put in Keanu Neal. Didn't work out, but I thought Keanu Neal was, proved that he was productive. Brent Urban was a quality role player signing coming off the 2020 season. I thought they did well in free agency last year, even before we saw what those guys did. Now, Watkins, I didn't think he was going to do anything, not going to lie to you. I looked at J-Ron as a third safety / special teams guy, but he played above that. Go that route. Bring in 6 or 7 guys that are value, that have talent, the Stephen Jones criteria, and see if you can get lucky. Because if you're not going to go the other route and try to grab actual hump players and keep throwing darts at guys like that, the problem is they didn't even do that this year. They didn't even do that. So it's like, all right, let's wait and see. Let's see if Fowler and Washington and Ryan Nall are the guys to do that. And then the draft, and let's see if we can go win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? All right. Let's check out this mock draft by one Peter Schrager over on an NFL Insider for Good Morning America. Good Morning America. Good Morning Football. Mock the mock. Let's mock his mock draft real quick before we get out of here. We did this with Vach on his first one. This is his mock draft 2.0, and he's got Travon Walker going number 1. Professor Ophi in the building. There's your guy. There's your guy. What? Whew. Love the potential there. I don't think he's just saying anything crazy either. You listen to guys like Bucky and Daniel Jeremiah and others that are plugged into the NFL, and they think he could go number 1. Aiden Hutchinson went number 2. I think we all agree he's going to go top 3 at the very least. Ikem Ukwanu went number 3. This would be a good pick for the Texans, I believe, as well. Kevon Thibodeau went number 4. He's becoming a interesting player to the draft pundits, but I think a lot of people on the surface believe he's a top 5 guy. Charles Cross, one of the guys Danny Savage will love to fall so the Cowboys can trade up. Interesting to see him go as a second offensive tackle picked here as opposed to, I believe it's Neal, who still didn't get picked yet. Kenny Pickett, I talked about this yesterday on Vacha's show. I don't see it. Draft guys, y'all can let me know. No offense to Kenny Pickett. I think he had a fantastic 2021 season. Hey, hope the kid comes in and crushes it. I just would not be risking my future on Pickett at pick 6. I kind of would take somebody more sure and then just, hey, Sam, we'll get you some O-line help or something. Sam or whoever else they got over there as quarterbacks, you just ride out for 2022. And then in 2023, we go get a Q because Carolina is obviously in a rebuild. So the Giants get Sauce Gardner and Charles Cross. That would be, man, I'm kind of jealous of the Giants getting two picks in the top 10. Not going to lie to you. Sauce Gardner and Charles Cross. Really good picks there. And this actually makes sense because right now, if I'm not mistaken, Cowboys Nation, Bradbury is on the trade market. And then Evan Neal comes off the board at number 8 with the Atlanta Falcons. Derek Stingley, top 10. A lot of people believe he's going to fall to 24. Schrags has him going number 9 to the Seattle Seahawks to be a teammate with his guy Jamal Adams, former LSU alum. Jameson Williams, maybe my favorite wide receiver in the draft. I have him as wide receiver 1 if he was healthy. Even with him not being healthy, you can argue it with this guy, Garrett Wilson. So the Jets get them a weapon and go with Zach Wilson, and then Garrett Wilson going to Washington. The thing about Washington, and this ain't talking Washington, but they actually have accumulated individual talents, a lot of individual talents, but they continue to miss out on the quarterback position. So, yep, they're going to get Garrett Wilson in this scenario. They got Terry McLaurin. They can decide not to re-sign him, but hell, I would love to have Scary Terry and Garrett Wilson next to each other, 2 OSU guys, right? But who's the Q? And I had this conversation, I think it was with my guy Tuck a few years back. He was big. Who's their defense end they took? Slipping my mind. But Herbert was on the board, and they took the defensive end, the edge from OSU, and I said that was a mistake. They could have took any of those quarterbacks and it would have been better, but they could have had Justin Herbert. Now, that's hindsight, right? That's hindsight. But still, it doesn't matter. You take that risk and I don't even call it a risk. I thought Herbert was big time. But they could have had Justin Herbert. Chase Young, thank you, Glenner. Justin Herbert in there, and you just say, hey, we got our Q. We got these little individual talents. Let's continue to build around our Q, because that was a guy right there. Herbert was a guy. I think Burrow was there as well in that one, but they weren't allowed. They didn't let them trade up, so they wouldn't get them. You can argue. Some people don't like Tua. I think Tua with Mike McDaniels, I think he's going to have I don't say revive his career, but I think he's going to play better. But I thought they should have took Justin Herbert. 100% should have took him. Jermaine Johnson goes to the Vikings. I think he's the first edge off the board. Yep. Second. I'm sorry. Actually, no, he's the third edge. We're not talking about Kevon Thibodeau and Hutchinson's. No, he's a fourth because of Walker. Kyle Hamilton, my guy. I think Kyle Hamilton's going to be really good. The Texans obviously need him. They need everything. But they lost Justin. Is it Justin Reed? Lost Justin Reed. So they get Kyle Hamilton. Trevor Penning. I'm not a big Trevor Penning fan. I've tried to get people to talk me into moving him to guard, but then I'm like, he's 6'7", man. That scares me. And then the Cowboys fans say, oh, well, Kevin Gogan. Yeah, bro, that was 40 years ago. 30 years ago, whatever it was. Yeah, sure. 6'7" and some change can play guard, but can he play it at a high level? I ask, and I'm not trying to be facetious here, but like how many 6'7" good guards are there in the league right now? I don't know this, and I really was going to go look for it, but I didn't have the time to. So if somebody can give me 5 to 10 of this, there's 64 guards, starting guards, 64. If you can give me 10 to 15 of them, or 10 of them that are 6'7" and are playing productively, please do, so that I can have this information moving forward. But I struggle with Trevor Penning. I would hate this one. Drake London going to Philly, Cowboys Nation. John says he's a stiff. He does feel like a stiff to me, John. I'm just not high on the guy. Drake London. Honestly, before I get to Drake, I would rather Bernard Raymond because I see the potential. I'm going to be real. I see the potential in Raymond. But do I want him at 24? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't. I don't. But there is a big upside to Raymond. Drake London going to Philly, I would hate that because he's a big body receiver with a quarterback who needs a guy that has room, a large catch radius. And he'd be in a system that I think would utilize him well. He doesn't have to be a burner. He can be a possession guy, make contested catches, etc. I would hate this as a Cowboy fan. Then next up, Chris Olave. Here's the run on receivers for Peter Schrager. Olave to New Orleans. And then Traylon Burks to the Chargers. Boy, man, if the Chargers sitting pretty. I love their offseason. If they get Treylon Burks, you add that to the wide receivers of Keenan Allen, of Mike Williams, and then Burks can be kind of that throw him in the slot after catch guy. Man, that'd be a nice combination. So now Philly's getting Devin Lloyd and Drake London, 2 needs, and I think Philly will be able to address their needs in this draft that early. CT Madden said Chargers don't need nothing. Man, ain't they sitting pretty? Ironically, Cowboys Nation, Jordan Davis is at 19. Remember when we did our mock draft where we said, hey, let's try to do a trade-up mock draft? This was a position I think we did. It might have been 17. But if Jordan, real quick, y'all can answer this. We'll get back to it. If Jordan Davis is at 19, would you be willing to trade up 5 slots, which may cost you a third at most, but 5 spots to get him? I'm just curious on those who are watching right now. Jordan Davis, sitting there at 19, would you trade up and get him? T-Mac said, I'd be sick if we take Raymond or Penning at 24. I'd be very frustrated. I told myself this year, I'm going to try to, sit back and chill, but there's only a handful of picks. Tyler Smith, I'd be very frustrated. Penning, I'd be very frustrated. Raymond, I wouldn't be as frustrated because I like the upside. It's just like, come on, there's got to be somebody else there. Would you trade up? Yup, says Jack. Absolutely, says Professor O. No, C. Burleson. Yup, JP. Nope. Yup. My bad for that. Whatever it just did there. Cowboys not moving up for 2 down. DL had terrible production. Jose. Jordan Davis is a beast, dog. Pittsburgh takes Malik Willis. New England against Trent McDuffie. Green Bay gets Jahan Dotson. I think the run on wide receivers is why he probably took him here. They need a wide receiver. And I think, I said this before, the run on wide receivers is likely going to be, I thought it would be from 20 to the end of the second round, and he started in the teens to the end of this first. So John Dotson's gone. Zion Johnson is the pick at 23 for the Cardinals. Who do you think, y'all probably saw it real quick, Peter Schrager mocked to the Dallas Cowboys at pick 24 without cheating and going to look? Who do you think? And while I let y'all muster over that, let me get to Jacob on the horn real quick. What's up, Jacob?
Hey, Scott, my bad earlier, man. My phone had died.
Oh, you good, brother?
Hey, man, real quick, I just wanted to touch up on what we talked about, I guess, in the last segment about the free agency stuff. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, is this like with all the comp picks and all that you get in the draft, doesn't that cancel out after the draft this year for next year?
Yes. Yeah, after the draft. Right now, you're looking at 2 6-round comp picks, though, in a 4th.
Okay, because of, like, Gregory and all that, correct?
Yeah, Gregory will get you the 4th. I think Wilson and Connor is going to get you the 2 6-round picks.
Okay, so do you think that is why they're holding back on signing players now? I mean, we talk about, like, J.C. Tretter and all that, because if you sign a player like that, it would just eliminate that comp pick. And, you know, Steven and Jerry, they love those draft picks. Well,
if it's a J.C. Tretter type of guy, I would say, hey, that's a fair argument. But again, I haven't seen them sign these type of guys anyway. So I don't think they'll sign guys that are going to cost you $8, $9, $10, $11 million per year before or after the draft. So I don't think comp picks really are going to affect how they operate. They're signing guys that to $2 million deals. That's not really going to affect your comp formula.
Right. Okay, and I was just thinking more like of the big name players, you know, like we're talking about like Travis Landry, stuff like that. You know, like if you sign a guy like him or J.C. Tretter or perhaps a Clowney, then you're going to lose those comp picks, and that's not what Jerry and them want. So that's why I was thinking maybe after the draft, if available, if you could work something out with the money you got, you know, maybe you throw 1 year and maybe, I don't know, $8 to $10 million at one of those players, you know, depending on what they're asking for.
Hey, if if I had belief in that's how they roll, I would agree with you. I would say absolutely they're probably waiting to keep the comp picks and then sign a guy to $8, $9, $10 million. I don't have belief in that yet, so they kind of got to prove it to me that they'll go out and sign one of these kind of difference makers and such at that price.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would agree. I just don't know if honestly, if it's me, I can give a damn about a 6-round comp pick. I'm going to sign the player that's going to help me win in 2022. But again, you're right. They care about the draft, so they value 6-round comp picks.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. But all right, man, I'll let you get back into your mock here. I think Cowboys. If Kenyon Green's still on the board, I think that's who they got right here in this mock draft right here. So.
All right, he thinks Kenyon Green. Let's take a look and see what guy. Appreciate you too, Jacob. Have a good weekend. Let's see what guy the Cowboys pick. With the 24th overall pick, Peter Schrager gives the Dallas Cowboys center Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa. This is what he says. The Cowboys need offensive line help, and if Linderbaum is still available at 24, I could see the former standout wrestler as the team's starting center from day one. How y'all feel about Linderbaum being the pick at 24? Y'all know how I feel. There's only one center in the top 100 or at least top 3 or 4 picks that I would take. Other than that, we got too many other pressing needs I want to get. And it would be Tyler Linderbaum. So there's two sides of this. On one hand, all for getting Tyler Linderbaum. On the other hand, who is left on the board? That is the important question. Who's left on the board? You'd be shocked to see a couple of these names. All day, no problem with that pick. Trips Aces. Love it, says Glennard. I don't hate the pick, Shane. Okay with that, Calvin. I wouldn't be mad at Linderbaum, me neither. That pick is the actual size of TL. Talking about Tyler Linderbaum. There's a video of Linderbaum pinning Tristan Wirfs in wrestling. Yeah, the wrestling background, which he talks about. I don't know why I have a feeling they won't pick him. I think Nathaniel Ortiz, because there really isn't much connecting them to him. But again, that doesn't have to be the case. Jacob doesn't like it. Bobby Bell says Kenyon Green is a pick if he's there, and I believe he was. And I would agree too. He's not a 30 visit, and who is going to be the left guard? So you don't have to be a 30 visit to be picked. It all depends where they have him on their board. Now, let's take a look at the following. Breece Hall. We don't really care about Breece Hall. There he goes. Kenyon Green. I think, Cowboys Nation, this would and should be the pick if there's another guy on this list that I think I'd be cool with too, because I like him as a player. But Kenyon Green, man. See, this is where the need thing gets me. We need a guard, and we need a guard for the future. I don't know how I don't take Green here. But I understand Linderbaum is probably, if not higher on the board, he's right there. So I think I go with Green, Cowboys Nation. And a lot of people have been asking this, Trips. Can Tyler Biadasz play guard? I don't think he has extensive reps at guard in college, and obviously he doesn't in the pros. TC said I'd be good with either Green or Tyler. I'd be good with either, but I'd probably feel more secure, can sleep better at night knowing that I got Kenyon Green to help kind of complete the line. Keep it moving. See, here's another one. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you two. Devontae Wyatt goes to the Packers at 28, and George Karlaftis goes at 29. I'm actually higher on Wyatt and Karlaftis than I am the offensive lineman. So now we get to the point of, do you BPA or do you BPA need? Right? I am big on getting an interior guy that can make a difference. I don't care if he's a 1-tech or 3-tech. And I've talked myself into Devontae Wyatt playing, and I'll use air quotes so y'all can see me here, 1-tech. Professor O. Okay, he has him listed as 304. What What? Let me look this up. What did he weigh in at? Because I thought he was above 310. Hasn't listed at 304. Maybe he lost weight. That's why he hasn't listed. Okay, so he lists him at 304 because he weighed in at the combine at 304. Can I get him back up to 310? Can I get him back up to 315 without hindering his ability? I think we can, but I would like him to be more 310, 315, and I could put him next to Osa. And boy, I feel good about Wyatt and Osa for my future. Do we like that? I like that better, Cowboys Nation. Give me Karlaftis and let's ride, and then boom, George Karlaftis. I mean, you want to talk about getting a motor guy opposite of D-Law. I know a lot of people actually compare him more to a D-Law because he's not super speed rusher guy, but he's technical. He gets after it. I like George Karlaftis. I think you got D-Law, George Karlaftis for the future. I wonder if they view it as, we don't need a defensive end because we signed Fowler. We don't need it because we also got Dorrance. I think Karlaftis has a higher ceiling than Dorrance and Golston and could be your edge opposite of D-Law for the foreseeable future. So, him getting him at 29, great value. Adding him to that line with Frank, with Jones, yeah, good pick. Then they follow it up with getting Kyler Gordon. Tyler Smith goes 31, and then Matt Corral at 32. So where it gets interesting in this mock is that he took Tyler Linderbaum, and we had Green, Wyatt, and Karlaftis on the board, Cowboys Nation. At the end of the day, in my Stephen Jones voice, you're getting a good player with either four of those dudes. It's just a matter of flavor, right? Preference. Who do you prefer more? Wyatt, Karlaftis, Green, Linderbaum. If I had to rank the need basis of it, I'm putting Linderbaum technically at the bottom, right? Because I feel like you got a center that your offense can function. Is he the best center? Is he great? No, he's not, but you got your center where the offense can function. You don't have a guard, so Green will go there. And then just the value of Wyatt and Karlaftis, I got to put above him. Like, I would take either one of those dudes over the other two because, hey, let's make this defense even better. Go get me my guard in the second round, and let's work. Asian says Green all the way. Dorrance will have at least 8 sacks if he starts. I actually think that Fowler is going to out-sack Dorrance Armstrong. Let me just say this for the Dorrance Armstrong people. I urge you to go back and actually look at his sacks. That's all I'm saying. Like, I urge you to go back and look at it. He wasn't creating those sacks, right? Like, context matters, right? I think Dante Fowler will create his sacks. Dante Fowler will be more of a playmaker. Dorrance was cleaning up. I mean, just be realistic. I mean, he was cleaning up, and that's cool. Like, that's going to get you paid, right? Why you think he got paid and brought back to Dallas? If he had 1 sack last year and somebody else cleaned those sacks up, he's probably not coming back to Dallas. But they look at that like, oh, Dorrance Armstrong had 5 sacks. You heard what Stephen Jones said. Hey, from a production standpoint, him and Randy Gregory aren't all far off. Sure. Okay. But go watch the sacks. Totally different story. In fact, he got a couple of those things because of Randy. And others. Where I think Dante Fowler, I just truly do believe Dante Fowler is going to get 8 sacks minimum this year. And when I mean sacks, I mean impact sacks. Asian says, if we get a pass rusher first round, I won't complain. Me either. I won't. I'm looking at this thing beyond just this year. And, hey, you can't have enough pass rushers. Remember, Cowboys Nation, Dallas utilizes a rotation. The jury's still out on Golston, right? So if you get a Karlaftis in here, who the hell is complaining if he's taking Golston's reps? Not me. I won't complain if he's taking Dorrance's reps, to be honest with you. So you won't find me complaining about it if they take an edge like that in the first round. Can't rely on all our pass rushers. This is true. Yes, Jose Fowler had double-digit sacks in this league. He did 2019, I think it was, 11.5 sacks, and it got him paid. And prior to that, he was a productive pass rusher. I think even in Atlanta, there's a stat that shows that I think he was a top 10 guy in one-on-one win rate in regards to pass rush win rate. And guess what? He's going to get one-on-ones if you have a guy like Micah Parsons threatening to blitz. If you got Dorrance, if you got D-Law on the opposite side, he's going to get some one-on-ones, and I think he'll take advantage of them. I do. Agent says, I still think linebacker depth is a concern. Indeed, I agree with you. DQ is going to get him to play well, or got him playing well, says Marcus. Well, so he wasn't great under Dan Quinn in Atlanta. Mind you, dog, that was only 5 games. So he didn't coach him a whole lot in Atlanta, only 5 games. And then Dan Quinn got fired in 2020. And then in 2021, Dante, didn't have like 6 sacks last year? I could be wrong. He might only have like 3 or something. But no, I think he did have 6. But he showed some productivity last year. But again, he was still banged up guy a little bit. Played through some injuries. But this year, he won't have to play 40, 50 snaps. He's going to play about 30, 35 snaps a game. All right, good stuff on this Feel Good Friday presented by Worth the Poor. We're at that point in the show, heading on out to the show, leading into the weekend, where you guys let me know in the chat know what is making you feel good. I'll continue to read some of these comments here as we get to your Feel Good Friday stories or news or whatever. It could be about you, your friends, your family, whomever. Doesn't matter. Cowboys related, whatever. Michael H. said teams weren't game planning Armstrong. Sure, absolutely weren't. Iceberg says they like DA's personality. Jose wants to move up for Cross. You play him at right tackle, 100%. Tyron Smith get hurt. You move him to left tackle. Cowboys view Cross as a young Smith. I wouldn't move up for him unless he's in that 19 range. But I think to move up for Cross, you're probably going to be approaching 15 and up. And that's going to cost you. Probably a second round pick. I don't know if we can afford that right now. Adrian, Armstrong, Fowler, Tank, 6/7 sacks each plus Micah. Maybe wishful thinking. Nah, I can live with it. Tank, yes. I think healthy Tank is going to get you at minimum 6 sacks. Definitely with Micah, boy. I'm so mad he wasn't healthy last year because people got on him, and then he came back and everybody kind of be quiet a little bit because, D-Law let people know. Fowler, I already told you, I think he's definitely going to be in that 6 to 8 sack range without a doubt. Armstrong, sure. If I can get him 5, 6 sacks, I can see it. Bud says teams won't game plan for Armstrong now. I don't think they'll ever game plan. I mean, again, he's 24. He could take the next step, but I don't see him being that guy. Antoine Swain. Okay, well, this Feel Good Friday. This Crown and Coke is 5 p.m. somewhere in the world. I can dig it, Swain. I can dig it. Last weekend, looking at crazy mock drafts, Jacob, thankfully. Let me just say this, though, real quick, because next week is going to be the week of the draft. I want to say thank you to y'all. Y'all made doing these mock drafts that we do, and maybe we'll do another one, last one next week, fun and entertaining. I am not mock draft guy. If you go look at the 2-year history prior to this year, I don't do a ton of mock drafts. I do one and one stream. We do multiple drafts, and I did it with like James and Law and things like that. They're fun to do with y'all, but to do them over and over myself, I'll drive myself crazy. I can't wait till we pick the damn guys so we can then dissect and talk about them. And I'm telling you, that following week and weeks after the draft are going to be so much fun. I can't wait for y'all to get back here. Adrian Padilla, Mavericks, baby, casino and game night. Oh, I love casinos because I love poker. Adrian, what casino do you go to around here? I know there's Choctaw and what's the other one, y'all? See, I'm still new. WinStar. I haven't quite hit my luck. I think it's at WinStar, the one that I've been to. See, my problem in poker, and let me just give y'all a quick little, just small little. I love poker and I'm damn good at it. My problem is I stopped playing tournaments, and real quick, just bear with me. I'll say this, I'm not going to go too far in it. I used to play poker a lot. Too much. Too much. I that was kind of like a side hustle for me. I was at the casinos, I was at house games, I was making money doing poker. But the problem with that is when you're doing it that way, you win, you lose, you win, you lose. At the end of the day, you're basically breaking even or you're not. So I fell back a little bit, just have more fun with it. My problem now with it is I'm doing well, and then I get bored. And I start doing stuff. I start, let me see if this 7-5 just, you're gonna let me limp in for the 2? Cool. And they get you in trouble, right? So just when I'm up, I needed this damn leave. My favorite hand. This is gonna sound funny. My favorite hand is because of Daniel Negreanu. Daniel Negreanu's favorite hand is 10-7 suited. This is when I was still kind of learning poker, and I didn't know why it was 10-7 suited, obviously, because it's a suited connector that can hit the high end and it can hit the low end, and it's obviously suited so you can get a flush, and a flush that some people might not see. So 10-7 suited is my favorite hand to catch people. What up, Vach? Vach said Cowboy YouTuber Poker Night. Come on, bruh. That made me feel good. I'm down. What? I hosted here. Don't get me started, man. I hosted here. Marcus says, Sky, you look like you be good at poker. Yeah, I'm good. I don't mean to brag, but I'm good. And you know why I think I'm good at casinos? And people have literally told me this part. Oh, man, I didn't know you knew how to play. Look how young you look. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. You keep thinking the baby face ain't played in a while. And that's a problem with older people and casual fans when they go play poker. They forget my generation, we got the internet. So we've probably played just as many hands as you've played in your life because of the internet. Now, I was around, and just bear with me through this. This Feel Good Friday. We having fun. We off the rails. I was around during Black Friday of poker. If y'all remember Black Friday of poker, is when Absolute Poker and Full Tilt and all these poker stars, all these websites had to get shut down because there was a scandal behind the scenes. So I was on those websites playing heavy in college. I was at these house games and all that stuff, playing heavy in college. And then they shut it down, and then you had to kind of go back towards being in the casino. So when I turned 21, I was out there. I was heavy. I'm not telling you my age, Jacob. That's just gonna have to be a mystery, and I love it being a mystery. Sky over here using A to Z company card at the poker table. They don't give me the company card. I love poker, man. It's so much fun, especially if you're there and you ain't worried about losing. It's pressure when you using your 9-to-5 money to try to flip that. And see, I ain't gonna. If you don't know what flip mean, it's pretty easy. Taking my 9-to-5 bread, I'm going out to the casino. I'm trying to double it. I'm trying to double up. KYH with Sky and the Pharrell dermatologist. Shout out to my bro Vach Lombardi in the building. We have a lot of fun on the Volume. Make sure y'all check that out every Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Central. We over there having a lot of fun. Yeah, my lady in the building, she said, and this is a true story. Remember when someone thought you were like 16 at the casino? She's not lying. We went to Hollywood, and they card me all the time. Listen, they card me for everything. So I had my card, I gave it to her. She legitimately called another security guard, not believing that it was me. Oh, he looks 18. He looks 16. I'm like, ma'am, I've been here too many times. In fact, send me home. I shouldn't be here. Go ahead, send my ass home right now. Send me home. But they didn't, obviously, so. Where Big Mo at with his age? Mo's very young. Mo's 22, I think it is. Volume 306, baby. I didn't forget, Vach. I didn't forget. Man, I got me down this poker hole now. I feel like I'm about to go back and watch Vosh said Daniel a beast. He's a damn psychic. He is, man. He is. Like, Daniel Negreanu is my favorite poker player. They call him the Jesus. I forget his name. He's really good too, Hall of Famer. My favorite World Series of Poker year, I think, was the 06 year when Jamie Gold, again, I'm going off the rails. Jamie Gold won the World Series of Poker, bro. Might have been the luckiest run I've ever seen in my life in the World Series of Poker. But this dude, he was ignorant with it. See, one thing I don't like about poker players is when they talk to you like Jamie was. I think there's a rule now where you're not allowed to, but Jamie Gold was talking slick. You ain't gonna do it. I got you. Lay it down. Just lay it down. You know, just talking to him throughout the whole thing, and that really can mess with your psyche. And I think they banned that type of act at the table, but he did it all the way to the gold, man. Won the bracelet, and that joint was crazy. I said, man, can I be like, nah, that's not my style. We ain't gonna do that. Phil Ivey is definitely cold too. Phil Ivey's a legend, 100%. He's a legend. Grantville, that's where I was at, Toxic Town. I play chess, but I want to play it more. I want to get into it more. My lady said now he's going to be in the mood to play poker. Oklahoma, here we come. Feel Good Friday. We there, babe? Let me get the hell up out of here, man. All right, look. Good show today. Fun show today. Appreciate y'all. Check out A to Z Sports Dallas.com. Good stuff. Thanks for the donations today. The calls were good. Hey, John, it's all love, bro. You know how we do. You here. It's all love. Appreciate my boy Vach coming through at the end. Y'all have a good weekend, man. Have a good weekend. Have a fun weekend. Have a safe weekend. If I do go to the casino, I'll let y'all know how I did. We out of here. Love y'all. Peace.
Get your damn act together.